Hey guys, welcome back to Joanne's Learning Hub. Today I'll be discussing the last video in this series of how to get an A star in IGCSE ICT 0417 practical examinations. The topic for today would be website authoring in HTML. I would be showing you how to type the code by using Visual Studio Code. You may do the same and practice in softwares like Microsoft Expression Web, Adobe Dreamweaver, or Notepad++. So all of them will give the same output. Before we begin, I request you all to please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. So let's get started. So this is a syllabus overview of what we'll be learning in the coming slides. First up is web development layers. This is something you need to remember because it even is asked in the theory paper. So we have three web development layers: the content layer, the presentation layer, and the behavior layer. Now the content layer consists of the text, the images, how the whole web page is structured and linked together. So it's the content layer which is created using HTML. Now the presentation layer is simply the styling elements of your web page. This includes the fonts, the colors, sizes, and all the page styling. The presentation layer is done through creation of the CSS, which is the cascading style sheet, and you can apply this into one or more pages, web pages. Last is the behavior layer. So this is the interactivity with the user. It involves scripting language to control elements which are within a web page. Now we'll be learning to create a web page and also use style sheets in the coming slides. So what exactly is HTML? The word HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So it is a standard markup language and it is used to create web pages. This HTML code which we'll be learning to write describes the structure of a web page. So the elements of the HTML tells the browser how to display the content. So now we'll be learning how to structure our code for creating a HTML web page, and I'll be using November 2022 paper 3 as a reference. So this is the October-November paper 3. The web page task first asks you to create a web page called lion.htm. So I'll be creating a new file called lion.htm. So HTML web pages often end with .html or .htm. So if they've set to the certain name like lion.htm, do not put .html because that will be marked wrong. So this is our web page. Now, how do we start our HTML code? All HTML documents start with a document type declaration. So what is this declaration? It goes like this: exclamation mark, doc type HTML. So this is the declaration you must include whenever you start your HTML code. Next we write HTML and close it. Here it's automatically closing, else you must remember, if you are opening a tag you must always close it as well. Then inside this HTML tag we enter, and now the HTML tag consists of the head section and the body section. So the head tag we must type. Again, the head has an opening and closing tag, and then the body tag is there. Again, body also has opening and closing tags. Now in this head tag you can include your title for the web page. Of course, the title also has an opening and closing tag. We'll be learning in the coming slides that even if you have to link your external style sheet, the link will be coming in the head tag. So for now we'll be just leaving it with the title. Now in your body tag is where you put your table, the paragraphs. So if you have to create a table, the table tag goes like this. So table, opening and closing tab. And inside this table, as we'll be learning in the next slide, there'll be the TR which shows the table row and then the data as well. Now tables we know are made up of rows and columns. So if we need to add a row to our table, the tag for it is the TR tag. So inside the table tag, we have the TR tag which will create a table row. Now you can add as many TR tags as you want to create the number of rows you need. Sorry for that. TR. So if we have two TR tags, remember to close them as well. So the next TR tag will only open after you close your first TR tag, and so on. Now if you need to add table headings, so you need to add headings to your columns of the table, the tag for it is the TH tag. And what if you need to add data inside your table like text, images, lists, links, etc.? For this you use the TD tag. It stands for table data. So inside the TD tag is your content. So inside your TR tag you can have either your table heading tag, and in the next TR tag you can have your table data tag. Now the question might specify that you must add table borders, or you may be given a certain width in percentage of the browser window. So if you need to do any of that, you need to work on the table tag itself, that is this tag. So if for example you need to add a border, so before the closing angular bracket put a space, then border, because border is an attribute of the table tag. Border, and maybe I'll give a border of 2. Now if I want the width as 100% of my browser window, for that I'll be typing style, double quotation mark will come. Inside that you will put width, colon, and I'll be saying 100%. Always end things like the width or whatever you put inside your style with the semicolon. So then you can just put a space and add the next thing you want to inside the style. For now that's all we are putting in our style, and we have table border 2. Maybe I'll add heading, and this is data. Save it, go to your browser and reload it. So we have our heading, it is filling 100%, the table is filling 100% of the browser window. Heading is bold and centered, and our data is left aligned. You can even start your tables without the table heading. So this can even be changed back to TD. But in that case, if we save it again and reload, you will get it as a normal data. You won't get it specifically as the heading for any of your columns. Now, what about padding and spacing? Now, cell padding is the space between the cell edges and the cell content, whereas the cell spacing is the space between each cell. So by default the cell spacing is set to 2 pixels and you can change it using the CSS property of border spacing. So if you need to change the cell spacing, you can add border hyphen spacing, and it can be in pixels, centimeters, millimeters, inches, anything that's specified in the question. So maybe I'll put 10 pixels. And if we need to add padding, again it can either be just the padding, or you can say specify padding hyphen top, padding hyphen bottom, padding hyphen left, padding hyphen right. So these all are the properties which you can include in the style. Now I'll go to the November 2022 paper. We did create the web page of line.html and the table must fit 100% of the browser window. We've already done that. And now we need to create a structure shown in the diagram. So you may be given a structure like this and they may say make the table structure like this. So what can we see? We can see one column, then this apparently seems as two columns, and the cells B, C, D and G are spanned over these two columns. So coming to col span, there are two things in HTML tables, col span and row span. So this col span and row span, they are attributes of the table tag. So if you need to make a cell span over multiple columns, you use the col span attribute. And if you need to make a cell span over multiple rows, you use the row span attribute. So now we can see that this cell A, it is spanning over many rows. So we'll be using the row span tag and row span attribute, and we can see the cells B, C, D and G. In these cells we'll be using the col span attribute. So we go back to our code. We'll be changing this a bit. This will be A. This will be B. Then we have C as the next row. This will become D. Now if we see E and F, they are separate. So rename this to E. This will be F. And then we have G. Right. Now we need to make our cell A span over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So inside the TD tag we put a space, then type row span, ROWSPAN colon equal to and double quotation marks and then 5. So you put the number of rows you need to span across the cell. So this is 5. Now for B, instead of row span we'll be using col span, and the col span will be 2. So space col span equals double quotation 2. Now for B, C, D, all of them have the same thing, col span 2. So space, and then inside the TD tag make sure you close the angular bracket. E and F, we don't have to span it over anything. G again as call span. Now save our table, then reload it. Okay, so we can see our cell A, B, C, D, E and F, and then G. Now they have specified even some percentages. A has width of 30%, B width of 70%, C is also 70%, and then E has width of 35%, F also 35%. So we will be adding. Now if they've given specifically only the width, do not put the height. They only expect you to put the width for that certain cell. So since it's width, it is a style, so it will come in the style equal to double quotation, then width colon, and then was 30%. Similarly, you can put for B. Here they wanted the width to be 70%. Even for C, the width had to be 70%. They did not specify anything for D. E and F were supposed to be 35%. So this will become 35%. This will also become 35%. Save it. Go to your browser, reload. Okay, now they did not say anything about border spacing, so I'll remove that. Now if I save it and go to the browser, reload. So this is how the table structure looks now. So it's quite similar, and they have said table borders must appear. You must always look out for this, because they even say in some papers table borders must not be seen on the final web page. So in such cases you must not put table borders. You can always put it just to get the idea of your table structure, but then remember to remove it at the end before you print screen and take a printout of your web page. There are two kinds of lists in HTML. One is unordered list and the second is ordered list. An unordered list starts with the UL tag. So every list item will start with the LI tag. So if we need to create an unordered list, maybe I'll create one over here in place of A. So we'll start with the UL tag. So that specifies that I'm going to be creating an unordered list. Now inside the UL tag, every point you're putting in, it will be defined by the LI tag. So I'll just press enter. So inside the UL we have the LI. So maybe if I put the subjects like maths and physics, biology. So these are my list items, and it's going to be unordered. So if I save this and go to my browser, we have maths, physics, chemistry, bio, and it's by default a bulleted list. Now what if you need to change your list style? What if you want a disk or a square instead of a circle or bullet. To do that, go back inside the UL tag, you will type style equals, then we have the list hyphen style hyphen type colon, let's say square. Save. If we reload it, you can see now it's become square instead of circle. Now, in a similar way, even the ordered lists work. So, what an ordered list starts with the tag OL instead of UL. So, if I change this to OL instead of UL, then the rest is same. It will each list item will start with the LI tag. So the default list items will be shown by numbers. So if I save it and go to my browser, reload, it's not reloading, which shows there can be some error. That is the style, because this is not part of the OL tag. Now if I save it and go to my browser window, yes, now you can see that it's come 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what if I want to change this? In case of the ordered list, we don't have anything complicated. It's just type is equal to double quotation, in that one is the default. So if we want something like alphabets maybe, so you can show A and then save, reload, so ABCD. You can even show it with lowercase, so it will be small a, or maybe I if you need Roman numerals, just show with capital I, save. So this came in Roman numerals. So that's how we create ordered and unordered lists. So in the paper, the question may ask you to create such kind of lists, or even copy data and make it into a list as part of the table structure you just created. Now, how do we add comments? These comments which we create are not displayed in the browser, but they can help document the source HTML code. So the syntax for creating a comment in HTML is this. So I'll create a comment above the table tag, open angular bracket, exclamation mark, then double dash, and then you can type out your comment. So maybe so now if I save it and I go to my browser and reload my browser, the comment won't show, but it is for information that this is a comment. Or if I would have said or typed out that following code is creating table structure and data inside it, so it would have given information that okay, the coming code is about a table. It will consist of the images, required videos, audios, whatever content is there inside the table as well. So that was comments. Now next we'll be moving to images. So images, they can help improve the appearance of your web page. So the basic syntax is image, so open angular bracket img space src, so that's the attribute. The image tag has two main attributes, the src and the alt. src is the path to the image and the alt is the alternate text for the image. So the syntax, space. Now src then is equal to double quotation, and here will be the URL, the path to the image. Then after that you go outside the double quotation and then type ALT. So that's the alternative text. So if by any chance the browser isn't able to load the image, or the user cannot view it, the alt text will give short information about what the image was. So it's good to put the alt text for your image. It just has to be very short. So we'll now go to the November 2022 paper again. In B, they want us to put the image of N22 project.jpg. So N22 project.jpg. So now since all of them are in the same folder, I'll open the folder to show you. So this is the folder N22_practice, and inside this was the lion.html web page which I'm working on right now, and the N22 project. So since both of them are in the same folder, I just need to put in the name. So the src, it will be N22 project. I think it was project. Yes, project.jpg. Now alt text, let's see first this. So now whenever you need to add alt text, it's better if you view the image. For now I'm just opening it in my browser, since my browser supports it. Now image would be pretty big. What you can do is first put in all the rest of the images also. So we have been asked to put the N22 logo.jpg. I'll just go ahead and copy that. I'll be coming to video tags soon. So first we'll put in E and F. So that's N22 home and N22 contact. Save it, again go back to the browser and run. Okay, so this is the home, contact, logo and the project line. Now when you add images into a table, the question may specify that it must fit the width of the table cell. For example, question number 20 here says that Place inline style attributes into the HTML so that each image fits the width of the table cell with its aspect ratio maintained, and the images are what we just added in the previous slide. So to do this, we go back to our code. Let's go to our first image. It is n22 logo.jpg. After the double quotation sign, space, then style, equal to double quotation, inside that width, colon, 100%. And you will add the same for all the images we have added. So that will go for project. Enter this. Then we have our next image over here. And over here. Save it. Go to the browser and run. So now we can see the width is, it's occupying the whole width of the cell. In question 19, we had to add a video in cell C. So how do we add a video in HTML? We use the video tag. So I'll show you how to use the video tag. We'll go to cell C, click enter, then video, it has an opening and closing tag, and we'll click enter. Now an attribute of the video tag, one is width, the second is height, and third is controls. So what does this control attribute do? It allows the user to control the video, like you can start it, pause it, adjust the volume, etc. And of course the height and width, they adjust the height and width of the video. So in the question, it specifies that it must fit the width of the cell, so we only need to use the width attribute. So we'll be saying width is equal to 100%, because we wanted to occupy 100% width of the cell, and after the double quotation sign, space and controls. Now inside the video tag, first we'll say our source. So we need to put in the source src equals, so in this case it will be n22 lion.mp4. So the video tag in HTML usually supports .mp4, .webm and .ogg. So we are usually given mp4, and then after the double quotation sign, space, then you have to specify the type, which equals video/mp4, because it's a video, and it's .mp4. Video/mp4. Now after this, we'll of course close the source, and then after that we'll put our alt text. So maybe if the video browser is not able to display the video, you can put the text, your browser does not support this video format, or this type of video. And we'll be saving it. Now we'll go to our browser and run. And yes, we can see it has occupied the whole width. So now all our images and the video has occupied the complete width of the table cell. Let us see if we can run the video. Yes, we can. Okay, so we can see different controls, volume, full screen, and so on. Now audio, we can even add audio in HTML. So audio also works in a similar way, and the tag for adding audio or sound clips is the audio tag. So I'll show you the syntax of how to add an audio tag. Since we don't have an audio file at the moment, so audio tag will go like this. Audio, again it has an opening and closing tag. For audio we'll directly just say controls, and then we have our source again, same like the video tag, source src will equal, then you put your .mp3 file, then space, and the type in this case will equal audio because it's an audio file / mpeg for the audio, and then we'll close, and then we need to add your browser does not support this type of audio. Your audio tag is closed, and this is the audio tag syntax. So you can see it is really very similar to the video tag. Only thing different is that the video tag, in the video tag you can specify your width and the height. So in this question they just wanted the width to occupy the whole space of the cell, else you can just put your width as pixels and add height as well. Now the question may often ask you to place text from a certain text file and put it in certain style from H1 to H6 maybe, and put this in the certain cell of the table you have created. So that is what we can see in question 22 and question 23. In 22 we are dealing with cell D. We have to insert text from file n22 text.txt, and we had to set the text style as H2. So we go back to our code, we go to cell D, H2, there's opening and closing tag, then you go to n22 text.txt, so you can just do Control A and Control C, go back to line.htm, paste. Then you can just click enter so that you can see all the text. So enter, enter. Yes. So now we can see all our text which is in style H2. Now similarly in question 23 we are working in cell G. We need to add edited by followed by a name, center number, candidate number, and we need to put style H3. So again, back to the code, instead of G, H3, then edited by colon Joanne, then AB123 and candidate number 001. Save and you can run it. So we can see this is our text which is in style H2, and this is our edited by with our name, center number and candidate number in style H3. Next up is meta tags. So what exactly are these meta tags? They come in the head section of your code, and they are just used to give additional information about the HTML document. They are not visible in the browser, and they are added to the HTML document for purpose of search engine optimization. So, three main attributes of the meta tag that you need to remember are the charset, the name, and the content. So, as we can see the the screenshot which I've put here, the first line is meta charset is equal to UTF-8. So, you must just remember these three attributes because they may state in the question what text you need to put. So, whether the name will be the author, the description, keywords, or viewport. You just need to understand how you need to type it out. So, if you're using the name attribute in the meta tag, then you will also put the content. So, if the name is the author, then the content will obviously be the author's name. If you are putting in the name the description, you will put in the content the description, whatever it may be. Then if in the name it is keywords, you will put keywords with comma, but all the keywords will be in the double quotation sign. The different one is if the name is the viewport. So the content will be, you'll have to say the width, which is the device hyphen width, comma, the initial hyphen scale is equal to 1.0. So this is one thing you need to remember. The rest you may be given in the question itself. So how do we create hyperlinks? In HTML, to create hyperlinks, we use the A tag. So the A stands for anchor tags. So first I'll show you the syntax of the code. So we'll go back to our code. So it goes like this. A tags, it has opening and closing. And an attribute of the A tag is href. So space href, then equal to sign, and then double quotation. So whatever you put in the double quotation is the link, whatever you're hyperlinking it to. So maybe I'll put the .htm file here, n22 twt.htm. Now what goes inside these A tags? It can be images, it can be text, it can be anything. So this question may state you to put it as images. So when you click that image, it will link it to another site. So maybe first I'll show you with this text. I'll cut this text and put it in between the anchor tags. So let's go to our browser and see what happens. The text has become blue and underlined. So when I click on this text, it will open the n22twt.htm. We can do the same thing for images as well. So that's what is being asked in question 24. We need to create a hyperlink from the image n22home.png to open the web page n22twt.htm. So let's go back to our code. I'll cut this tab now. And it's n22home.png. So it's this image. So now we'll put the image in between the opening and closing of anchor tags. So I'll cut the closing anchor tag and put it at the end of the image. Now inside the opening anchor tag, space href equal to double quotation n22twt.htm. Save it and then we run. So when I click on this, it links to n22twt.htm. Now the next question, again it's creating a hyperlink. We are using the image n22 contact.png, so it works the same way. But this time we've been given an email ID with the subject line. So the code will be a bit different. So in the href, we are working on this image, so I'll click enter again and put it in between anchor tags. So what's different is that we are using this hyperlink to send an email message. So in the href, we have the email ID, so it will go like this: mail to, then colon, then we put in the email ID. I'll just copy it and paste. Make sure you don't put any space. Now you can just leave it like this if they've not specified the subject, but in this question we've even been told the subject. The subject is Project Lion. Plus there's a space between project and lion. So since we can't include any spaces, we'll put a question mark first, right after the email ID .org, then a question mark, then subject, and then we say equal to, and now project, and then instead of space we'll be putting the percentage symbol, and then lion. So how many ever spaces are there? So if there's another word with a space, I can put a percentage and practice maybe. So it will be the same thing. So the percentage symbol represents space, so you must remember that. So I'll remove this for now. It can be in lowercase, uppercase, whatever is specified in the question as well. So this is how it will look. It's something you need to remember. Before the email ID which they've given in the question, you need to put mail to colon, and then after the email ID gets over, if they've specified a subject, you will immediately put a question mark, subject equals, and then you will put your subject line. If there's a space, instead of the space you will put the percentage symbol. Make sure your anchor tag is closed. And that's how we create hyperlinks. Now we'll be discussing about CSS. So what exactly is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and it is the language we use to style a web page. Now CSS helps us save time because we can use it in multiple web pages. I'll be using Specimen 2023 paper 3 to show you how to go about the CSS part of the HTML task. So I've done the rest of the questions and just left out the CSS part for the video. So the style sheet is not finished and it contains a number of errors, and we have to edit the style sheet. All color codes must be in hexadecimal, and the heading styles H4, H5 and H6 do not need defining. Make sure your style sheet contains no HTML. Okay, now we have the style sheet specstyle.css. I'll open that up. It's this one, specstyle.css, and here are the specifications which have been asked. So we have the table data, then all heading styles, but since they said all heading styles, you must not include H4, H5 and H6, so it will just be H1, H2 and H3. And then we have specified H1, H2, H3, and then we'll be even styling a class called cyan. Right, so now let's go to a style sheet. You can see it is kind of haphazard because it contains a number of errors. This is not exactly how a style sheet must be designed. There is specific CSS syntax which I'll be showing you just as an example before we begin the question. So suppose I just say the same thing, table, then the table here is the selector, so it points to the HTML element that you're styling. Then we'll be opening the curly brackets, and whatever is inside the curly brackets is the declaration. So you can have as many declarations as you want. So now the declaration consists of a property and a value. So now suppose here they set size. So if I say size, then I say a colon, and then maybe I put 100 pixels. Just after you finish your first declaration, remember to put the semicolon sign. So you can just after your semicolon sign put enter and then begin your next declaration, which will go the same way. So just keep on putting semicolons and you can put as many declarations as you want. So now this is the property and this is the value. So this is the CSS syntax that we have. Now if we begin with the question, it says the size must be 90% and borders must be not collapsed, width 2 pixels, solid, border color must be this. Fine, so we go back. First of all, there is no curly brackets, so we'll be putting our curly brackets. Size colon 90%. So it will automatically take the window width. We do not need to write that. And then put semicolon. The important part is the semicolon. Before you put the semicolon, you cannot start with your next declaration. So I put the semicolon. Now the next declaration is borders. So what do I need to do with the border? I need to say that it must not be collapsed. So border hyphen collapse option comes up. So if you want to say not collapsed, it in a CSS form it means separate. So you will be putting it as separate. Semicolon is there. Remove this. Now we've corrected that part. Next we have our width. So I guess it's the border width. So border hyphen width colon 2 and pixels won't be written as that. Pixels is px. Again semicolon. Now border style should be solid. Again semicolon, and now we have the border color. Now this, just put a hyphen, and it's not COLOUR, it's COLOR. So border color colon, and now this is a hexadecimal value. It contains 6 digits. So whenever you are involving a color code in hexadecimal value, before that you need to put the hash sign. So hash. So automatically you can see it's this color. This is the hexadecimal color. So we are done with our table. Now we are going to our table data. Cell padding. Top 8 pixels. Okay, so now when we are talking about our table data and we are saying cell padding in CSS form, it will be padding hyphen top, padding hyphen bottom, padding hyphen left, and padding hyphen right. So we'll go back to our code. So So, and table data won't be written as this, because if you remember in our .htm file, when we are defining table data, the element name is td. So we'll be writing it the same way, td. Again, we'll be starting with the curly brackets, and now instead of cell padding, it will be padding hyphen top. It's 8 pixels, so 8px. It doesn't matter whether you put a space or no, so it's fine either way. Then make sure you delete the wrong code. Now we have a padding left and padding right. So padding left, I guess padding left and right both is 20 pixels, so 20px. Then same for padding right, and then we have the padding bottom as 6px. I forgot the semicolon. Padding bottom is 6 pixels. So we can delete this now. Now if we see these borders, again the border width is 2 pixels, which we have even specified in the table over here. Then solid and the color. So what we can do is, before we start the td, we can put in table comma td. So both the elements of table and td have this in common. So that is the border width, style and color. So we can cut that out from here. Just Ctrl X and Ctrl V. Right, and we can delete this from here. Make sure you don't delete the curly bracket. So this is our table. Then both the elements of table and table data have the border width, border style and border color in common. Then we have our table data, which has certain padding for top, left, right and bottom. Now the next element is all heading styles, but remember they have already said the heading styles of H4, H5, H6 do not need defining. So we'll only be including H1, H2 and H3. So let's go back. Instead of all heading styles, it will become H1, H2 and H3. Now the color. So before that, let's open our curly brackets. Color. And now hexadecimal values, they are arranged in the format of RGB, so red, green and blue, but what they've given in the question is a bit different. They've said blue, red and green, so do not get confused, it's always red, green and blue. So let's first put our hash since it's hexadecimal. Now red will come first, so F, F and then green, again F, F and then blue will be 0, 0. And now we can delete this. Now part says the font must be Times New Roman, but if this font is not available, then Times, or if these fonts are not available, then the browser's default serif font. Now you cannot type it out like this in CSS. There's a different way of stating the same thing. We'll be saying font family, font hyphen family, colon. Now first font is Times New Roman, Times New Roman. Now but if this is not available, then after the speech marks, comma, then we say Times, comma. If Times is also not available, then the available default serif font. So that's how you type it out. Both the Times and serif, it does not require double quotation signs. Only the first part of it, Times New Roman, whatever the font specified, must be in double quotation sign. Now we can delete this. Now we are giving specific styles for H1, H2 and H3. So again, H1 there must be curly brackets, H2 also curly brackets, H3 also curly brackets. So what is required? H1 must have 48 points high, so that's basically the font size, and alignment right, so that's the text align, which is right. So let's go back. Font, I'll just delete this now. Font hyphen size, so it's been specified 48 point. So for point it is PT, the short form, and then we have text align, which will be right. Text hyphen align, and it will be right. So we can delete this. Yes. Now for H2, we have font size as 24, and for H3 font size is 18. Same thing. So font hyphen size is 24 PT, and just copy it and put it as 18 PT. Delete the rest. Now our last style, which is a class called cyan. The color, okay, so we have a hexadecimal value. So now do not put a class as the regular elements which we put. So whenever you have the name class, so now this element is a class, so it will be dot cyan. So then the rest is the same way, dot cyan, then curly brackets, and since it's a hexadecimal value, it's the color. So color, COLOR, colon, and then hash and 00 F. So that's cyan color. Yes. And now we save. Yes. So we have completed our style sheet. Now place your name, center number, candidate number as a comment at the end of your style sheet. So now comments in CSS has a different syntax, so I'll show you how to do that. We have to put it at the end. So it's / and then an asterisk, then you can put your name, center number, and candidate number 0001, and now if you need to close it, put the asterisk sign first and then the / Save. Now we need to rename this to the spec style with our candidate number. So you just right click, rename spec style 0001.css. Right, save. Now we need to put in or link these external style sheets into our web page. So how do we do that? If I'm not wrong, the question is over here. Yes, this one. So we have to open our web page .htm, attach the style sheet spec style 1.css to this web page. So how do we attach an external style sheet? Let's go. It will be in the head part of the code. It goes like this: link, then rel, which is equal to style sheet, then the type text /css, and then we have the href. Again, href is just like, it has the same role to play like in the anchor tag. It just links it. So we are linking to the style sheet. So href is equal to double quotation sign, and we have to put in spec style 1.css, and you close it. So we have to then attach the style sheet you edited in step 3. Okay, the one we just corrected, the whole thing. So it has higher priority than the style sheet in spec style 1.css. So now what do they mean by making the style sheet we edited to have a higher priority than spec style 1.css? It's just that you put it below the previous link. So we put the link to spec style 0001.css below the link we have put for spec style 1.css. So it will have higher priority. So same thing, you can just copy it and change the href. So when you put it below, it will have higher priority. Save. And now we'll be running our web page. So you can see it has changed. This was the cyan, because if I show you, it's where the class has been put. Yes, this span class is equal to cyan, and it's closed in style h1 itself. So Tata digital storage. So that's the class. The rest of it is yellow, and the background is the color which we had put in hexadecimal. I think, no, the background will be the spec style 1.css, because that's what had been specified. So that's how we edit our cascading style sheet. To summarize, we have revised web development layers, how to create web pages, and how to create style sheets. I hope this video and the entire series of the IGCSE ICT 0417 practicals was helpful to all of you who are doing your IGCSEs. Thank you, and please don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. Till then, happy learning!